Hello. Welcome to another episode of the B11 Show.
Howdy.
I'm Tyler. I'm here with my friend Sam.
Call me Gargamel.
No. Okay.
Okay.
So Gargamel and I have been, it's been a great week, a great B11 launch. A couple weeks in now. This is going to be week 3.
Thank you to everyone who watched the video or anything like that.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, we really appreciate it. Any, even just watching it is really helpful. And feel free to comment. Feel free to email us. Feel free to do whatever you want because I'm not the boss of you.
Yep. Let us know what you think.
Just a quick comment on today's episode. Sam, what are we talking about today?
On today's episode, we talk about our our dream goals for B11 Studios.
Our dream goals.
And stuff like that.
I think in the next couple weeks we have some guests, don't we?
Yeah, we do.
Coming up. So be ready for that. We will be putting intros in story times from here on out. We decided that was something that we should do just so that we can get more information out to you. So we're going to do our dreams today. We're talking about our dream goals for B11. I think, Sam, you wanted to make a comment about something we say in the show.
So, as you probably know, we recorded these a while ago. And so it's a little bit off from what we are now. We call it the B11 podcast, and even though it's the B11 show. So
don't be thrown. You're still in the right place. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, all that kind of schniz, all of those. And please head to our Patreon, if you would, and think about possibly maybe donating if you'd like. Obviously, like I said, I'm not the boss of you, so I'm not going to tell you should do it, but you should do it. It would be great. It would be great.
Oh, you're vaping. Uh-oh. The vape. Milo wants to vape. Is that grape? No. What does that smell like? What is that?
Pomegranate.
Pomegranate.
It's actually called pomegranate.
Can you do the smoke rings? Oh, there you go. Well done. Well done. Just takes practice.
All right.
And I'm pretty sure you have to practice with like unfiltered cigarettes.
You haven't seen Lord of the Rings, but there's this whole thing at the beginning of the very first one where Bilbo Baggins is sitting with Gandalf.
What?
Bilbo Baggins. That's his name.
That's...
Anyway, so he's sitting with Gandalf, and like he blows these smoke rings into the air, and then Gandalf just like takes this big old like, and then blows a ship that goes and it flies through the rings. It's really cool. Oh, yeah, I know. Vaping's way better for you than cigarettes.
Is it?
Yeah.
But do you look as cool? Is my only point.
I mean, look how cool I look right now.
Oh boy.
Very cool, right?
You see, this is like, imagine there's a cigarette between my fingers and see how cool I look.
That's how you do it. So I'm not really into cigarettes because there's so many like carcinogens and stuff in them. But I have smoked a few cigars and cigarillos because those are just tobacco. Like
wacky tobacco.
It's not gonna like kill you, and they're not as addicting. Like that's the thing with cigarettes that I'm so scared about doing is like I would be afraid to smoke cigarettes because they literally are made to get people addicted to them.
Yeah.
Like, that is the goal.
Doctor approved.
Cigarettes?
Yep.
Doctor approved cigarettes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But no, cigarillos they're nice. Just like
You have to, like,
little nicotine high is always a
you
little okay.
bite the end off, and then you chew it, and you eat it, and then you smoke the cigarette.
Ah.
Is that
Yep.
is that how that goes?
Yep. So, anyway, hello.
Hi.
Welcome to this episode of the B11 podcast.
Pew pew pew.
I'm assuming you've already heard from both of us.
The future.
The future us, yeah, explaining this and what's going on. So, I think maybe just, moving right into our discussion today is probably a good idea.
Mm-hmm.
So what we're going to talk about today, it's, I don't know, we're a little starry-eyed because whenever we restart stuff like this, it's...
For the 7th time?
Yeah. I think, so a couple things are different this time than they were the last time we did this, which is we've planned for making mistakes. Like, we didn't plan too much, I don't think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So today, we're going to kind of go on that train and talk a little bit about, like, our dreams and goals for B11.
Choo choo.
Because it's the passion train.
The passion
Is that what
train.
that was?
There's
Choo
a
choo, welcome to the passion train.
Choo choo all aboard.
Ooh. Excuse me, maitre d'. I don't know what you call the people that let you into the train.
They call me the Furtin.
They call you Furtin?
They call me Furtin. Because I'll be Furtin with you by the time we get back.
Furtin for a hurtin'.
Mm.
So anyway, we're going to talk a little bit about, like, our dreams and our aspirations for this new B11 podcast and just B11 Studios in general. So Sam, what if this is like, don't let anything stand in your way. Anything you dream, you can achieve. What would this be? Like, what, like, let's just imagine. I mean, I think both of us would agree that probably one of the big milestones for us would be to be able to just do this.
Mm-hmm.
Like, just make B11 Studios our career.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be phenomenal for me. I'd love that. But what would you imagine? Like, let's assume that has happened. At this, like, we are making all of our money that we need. We have an office.
Oh, man.
We actually have a studio for B11 Studios. Just one, though.
Okay.
But what do you see us doing? Like, dream projects. Go.
Oh, gosh. Well, we have always, like, and maybe you'll hear some of these on the workshop, plug our own stuff. Plug.
In.
Plug.
Mm.
Plug.
Nice.
But to do, like, just some, maybe some relatively, like, big creative project, like one singular thing, perhaps.
Yeah, down the road, I think I would really like to maybe find some artists and like kind of make like a mini indie comic studio thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like Dark Horse has gotten really big.
Mm-hmm.
But one thing that I'm very particular about, like, creative things. Like, they have to reach a certain standard for me to be happy with them. And I think that's something that I can bring to the table is being very picky and creating an artistic vision that really it fits within a scope. And I'm really good at, I don't know, something that I think is a talent that I have.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it'd be cool to have, like, a studio like that where you can do, like, a comic book thing. And because that's the biggest thing that I want with B11 down the road is to make it something that anyone can do what we're doing right now and have more success than having to, like, fight through slogs of crap. You know what I mean? Like, if people are doing a good job with the stuff that they're doing, then we can help them and give them a little lift up. This is assuming we're in a place where we can do that. But like, I mean, it's only fair if they're doing good work, they should be accredited for it.
Multimedia conglomerate taking over the world.
Yes, and then all of a sudden it's like Chris Hardwick comes up to us. He's like, "Hey man, can we be a part of B11 Studios?" Nerdist will just be a subsection of B11 Studios.
Yep.
And then Geek and Sundry will come up and we'll be like, "No, because you're run by a woman."
Of course. Yep.
And then we'll be like, "Just kidding." And then we'll just
And Orson Welles rises from the grave.
From the grave.
Comes to us.
From the grave.
And says, "I want to make stuff with you." And we're like, "Yeah.
I guess you're okay."
Yeah, we'll schedule in Orson.
We'll schedule Orson. What a weird name. All right. So let's. I mean, we were kind of talking about this, like our projects. What is a project in your mind that warrants like? I mean, let's do a mini workshop on a dream project of yours.
Play that music. Ding. Stop playing that music. Play it again. Stop it.
Nice. Yeah. So what's a project you wanna like? Let's say this is like your biggest dream project. You could do whatever you wanted. You have whatever resources necessary. What would it be? I could give you mine first if you'd like.
Go ahead.
So I think mine would be I would really like to do like make a game. Like a video game that is in the vein of like Mass Effect, Dragon Age, like those, you know, that type of RPG, but make it that type of RPG set in the Wild West with zombies.
Oh, Wild West zombies.
I think that'd be cool.
Did you ever play that? Well, did you ever play Red Dead Redemption?
I did not.
Oh, okay. Well, they did like a Halloween expansion where it was zombies.
Yeah, and see, I want a game that's exclusively based around
Wild West
zombies in the Wild West, because I think that could be a really interesting game, because you have, you know, I don't know. And I think that'd make a great movie, too. That's another project I wouldn't mind, like, is maybe getting into some short films.
Yeah.
Because I definitely do have a few stories. Like, one movie I told you about that's a little more serious, and I think that's the thing with B11, is a lot of times we come off with, like, really funny things, because most of the time that's what we're doing, is just screwing around.
Moderately.
Well, yeah, okay.
Amusing.
But I would like to get into the vein of things where it's a little more serious, too. Like one of those audio plays that we were talking about.
Yeah.
Like, it's a little more serious. It's about a girl whose parents are dead. But I think we could do good work on it. And I think that's what's important, is we want to create entertainment. And in my mind, entertainment is something that makes people feel emotions that they wouldn't otherwise feel. Or it helps them, it extracts them from their daily life so that they can feel different emotions that are different than their daily life that they're feeling right then, you know? So those are a couple projects I'd like to do. Like I said, the comic book offshoot thing would be kind of really cool, too. And these are obviously really far down the road, but I'd like to reach what we can and do what we can.
Reach for the stars.
How about you? Any thoughts?
I don't know. I can't say there's been any big projects I've been thinking of lately. I've just been kind of, right now I've been thinking a lot of just getting this off the ground.
Getting flying to the air.
Like a bird.
Fly to the sky, flying into the sky.
I believe I
She's
can
the
fly.
worst.
I believe I can touch the sky.
John Ralphio's sister.
Oh, yeah.
She's the worst. Anyway, so yeah, I mean that's another thing, is, you know, we just want to have fun.
Yeah, that's what.
And let other people have fun with us at the same time. I would really like a Critical Role Acquisitions Incorporated-esque type of, like, D&D campaign. I think that would be cool. Mostly because I really like playing D&D, and if I can justify it by, you know.
Yeah.
It's always better to be able to justify it than just screwing around and doing just D&D for a long time.
Yeah.
All right, so now we're going to segue into the next segment of the podcast. Today, it's going to be me talking about movies with Sam. All right, Sam, movies.
Yes.
Do you like them?
I do.
You like movies. Why? What makes you like movies? This is important. This is very important.
I mean, they're a form of art, and I enjoy art. And so it's just a way to enjoy art.
So what makes something art?
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, I know. Because here's my thing. I think a lot of movies, their goal is not to make art, and their goal is just to make a crap ton of money.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there's movies that I think don't necessarily do that. I think, to a certain extent, all movies are trying to make a profit.
Yeah.
Hands down. I think 9 out of every 10 movies, and I would even say 99 out of every 100 movies
Mm-hmm.
would fit that bill of just like their goal is to make a profit.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I do think that there are definitely directors that try to make art out of things, and I don't think anyone goes into a movie not trying to make art. Like producers do. Producers, I think, almost consistently want to make money.
Yeah, the big
And that's what their job is. But directors and actors and writers, I think to an extent, almost always are trying to make art.
Mm-hmm.
And so you get this interesting dichotomy where you have directors trying to make art with producers breathing down their back trying to make money. And you get this whole like capitalist influence into why movies are, the way that they are. I will preface this next section by saying that I am a big movie nerd. I love movies. And I also love comic books. You want to know what I don't love? I am not a fan of all of the Marvel movies.
Mm-hmm.
There are a couple that I'm like, yeah, that's cool. I like how they did stuff differently.
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't work for me. Because what happened is, and this is my theory on why this is. So, you have a movie that does well. Let's say the original Spider-Man, or let's say the original Iron Man, because that's really what kicked off the Marvel Universe, in my mind. So you have the original Iron Man, and that does well. So, then producers are like, well, that did well, so now we kind of want to copy that to continue making a crap ton of money.
Mm-hmm.
So now they just do that, but they bring in A-list actors like Robert Downey Jr. They do other A-list actors, and then they put them in a movie. And then it's just because I really believe that a lot of the Marvel movies are just kind of like the same movie, just with interchangeable characters.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's a superhero who gets his powers, and always like the first one is always devoted a whole like quarter or third of the film to how they get their powers. And then the second third, they like meet a chick, and then they meet a bad guy, and then the last third is like the bad guy has the girl, and the superhero saves the girl, and then that's the end.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden they decide they want to better the society. And so like, I'm not saying all of these are exactly the same, but a lot of them just don't have a lot of substance, whereas the comic books really do have a lot of substance, because there's so much history and backstory behind every comic. Like you'll read a comic that one of these movies is based off of, and the end of the comic will say, after this, go read this, or at the beginning it'll say, before this comic, you can read any of these comics, and that'll give you the backstory for this one. And you just don't get that in the films, I don't think. And so you lose out on this rich history, and then they just make a bunch of mediocre movies. That being said, like Guardians of the Galaxy, I thought it was pretty good. Like, I liked it. And I think the reason I liked it is because they focused less on the aspects of the regular format that was making them money. Instead, they decided to go the route of like, let's be funny, let's make a lot of jokes, let's play 80s music, and because that's what they did, and that's kind of part of the comic. So I don't know. What are your thoughts on everything that I just said?
Well, I think that to these flaws you bring up with movies, I think you can also find some different flaws in comic books, like story wise. They just keep going
That's true.
infinitely. Like characters can't stay dead. Like they'll come back eventually.
Yeah. Although you could argue that they've taken that and putting that in the movies, that in the movies too. Like,
Mm.
I mean, no one just dies in the movies, in these Marvel movies. Like, even the DC one, like Superman died at the end of that last
Yeah,
one,
but
but he's not
he's
dead.
coming back.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Although none of I mean, he will. I don't know if you noticed, but they have him in the black Superman suit.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so excited for that.
Yeah.
That's cool. But yeah, I don't know. And then there's other movies. Like most comedy movies aren't very funny to me. I don't
Mhm.
find a lot of comedy movies super funny.
Mm-hmm.
Get Out was good. Did you see Get Out?
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, you should see that movie. Jordan Peele.
Oh yeah, the horror movie.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
he wrote it. It's like got comedy in it, but like just the direction was phenomenal. He used symmetry in a way that I would never have thought.
Mm-hmm.
But the way he does it is everything. A lot of the shots are very symmetrical, but only mostly. Like there are slight things that are off,
Mm-hmm.
and so you get the shot, and it just makes you feel uncomfortable because you
Mhm.
feel like it should be exactly perfectly symmetrical,
Mm-hmm.
and then it's just slightly off, and it gives you like this unsettling feeling. It's really cool. And then he does a lot of like fisheye close up in the bottom of the face, looking up onto the face, which is like a really like unsettling, creepy feeling. But yeah, he wrote and directed it, and it's very good. So you should check it out. I think it has like 99 or 98 on Rotten Tomatoes,
Mm-hmm.
like really good. So there are good movies out there. I think A24 does a really good job because they don't have to worry as much about money. But I always get skeptical when things are like Sony or definitely Disney. I don't know why, but Disney is such a cash cow. Like, they don't need all that money anymore. Like, they have a lot of money. Like, they could settle to make a really good movie and not worry about making a profit. And they could make the art, but they don't. I mean, it is a corporation,
Mm-hmm.
and it is run by like a CEO, and
Mm-hmm.
so I don't know. I think going the route of games, where there's some bigger game studios that have offshoot indie companies, I think that's probably the way to go to get really good artistic movies that are like really well done and really well written. Because you have this dichotomy where if it's a big studio, their goal is going to be making money, and they will make a very well produced movie,
Mm-hmm.
but it may not be the most artistic and it may not be very meaningful at all. Whereas you have indie studios that really want to make artistic films and make films that mean something, but they don't have the money to produce it well enough to make it a good movie. So I think where those two paths meet and you have a pretty equal amount of wanting to make art and enough money to make the art that you want to make, I think that's where some of the best movies come in. Like Swiss Army Man is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
That movie A makes me cry every time I see it, and B, every time I watch it, it's amazing. It's an amazing movie, hands down. You should borrow it. I have it. I own it because it's very good. So that's all I will talk about with movies today. I could talk about movies for hours upon hours upon hours because I have very strong beliefs about a lot of things, movie related and art related for that matter.
Mm-hmm.
But for today, I'll leave it there. So to summarize, I want there to be more art in movies, but I think the way to do that is to have larger studios like Disney having little offshoot indie companies that they fund and they give money.
Mm-hmm.
Any last points to add to this, my friend?
I don't think so, but I also am not that in the know on movie companies and such, so I don't think if I added anything, it would be anything smart or eloquent.
All right. Well, time for Know It All. Do 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 do.
I imagine just like the music's gonna be completely different, and it's just
Sam, stop! I keep trying to put the
different.
music in. I keep trying to put the music in, and you're talking over it. Jeez. All right, welcome to the newest segment. Something that's a callback to a really, really long time ago that I don't think anyone would ever remember.
Nope.
So we're calling it Know It All, and we might change the name of that. But anyway, do you know what Old Bet is?
I don't.
Who Old Bet is?
Nope.
Well, Old Bet was the first circus elephant and the second elephant brought to the United States. So,
The circus elephant.
it was the first circus elephant in the United States.
Didn't that
Old Bet.
largest circus company just close down?
What was it called? Not Cirque du Soleil, is it?
No.
Barnum and Bailey's.
Yeah, I think maybe that would have been it. That would,
I mean, how many people go to circuses anymore?
I don't know. I went to a circus once, and that was about it.
Yep. Well, Old Bet went to New York in 1795. Went to Boston after that. He was bought for $1,000 and named Old Bet.
Old Bet. What a name.
Oh no. In 1816, she was killed while on tour by a local farmer who shot her and was
What?
convicted later of the crime.
Man.
So,
that is the sad tale of Old Bet.
yep. Yeah, so that's now you know everything you need to know about Old Bet.
You can now, have
Anytime you're in,
the water cooler conversation about.
you can say, "Did you know the very first circus elephant in America was shot by a local farmer who was jealous of the attention it was getting?" Interesting facts.
Yep. And you'll meet your significant other talking about stuff like that.
Old Bet.
Mm-hmm.
Old Bet.
Old Bet.
Oh, good old Bet.
Good old Bet.
That's Know It All. So, our next segment is it's gonna be Sam led today. What are you talking about today, Sam?
Oh, I'm talking about games.
Sam's talking about games.
Straighten my tie.
Boom.
Put on my jacket. I don't actually have a suit. I broke the illusion. I'm sorry.
That's worse than breaking the fourth wall.
1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, I'm gonna go break this wall.
No, don't break my wall. I'm gonna vape at you.
Is it broken yet?
Yeah.
Okay.
You wanna know what the best part of this vape is? It makes your voice like really low when you talk.
You see, instead of vaping, I just use an inhaler.
Steam from the bathroom.
Nope, I use an inhaler even though I don't need it.
All right. Sam's talking about games.
Talking about games.
She's the worst.
The pew pew.
So explain to me why you never play games with me.
'Cause I like single player games more.
I hate you so much.
And I don't think our free time aligns perfectly most of the time.
No, not usually. So why don't you talk a little bit about Andromeda? Unless you had something else you were going to talk about.
Yeah,
but
I
I
can
think
talk about that.
Andromeda is probably a good place to.
Yeah. Well, to start off with the news. That I guess it's not news now, and it's not even news at the time of recording. But the latest was that it didn't do well, and the critical reception wasn't as good as they thought it was going to be. So they really the studio. I think Montreal. I might be wrong there. That might be the main studio. But the studio that made Andromeda, they downsized. And this is all from that Kotaku article by Jason Schreier. I'll make sure to put it in the description. They they downsized, and it's at the point where there's just like empty monitors in the office, you know.
Oh,
And
I'll go work for them for free.
yeah, I'll do that too. I'll be the janitor. I'll be the custodian.
Ooh, quick aside.
Yeah.
They announced the newest Xbox. It's gonna be the Xbox One X.
And that's coming out soon.
It's the
at
weirdest
the time
name.
Of this, yeah, it's not a great name.
It's like you have the Xbox, you have the Xbox 360, then it's gonna be the Xbox 720. Nope, it's the Xbox One.
And then
Okay.
the Xbox
So
One
then it's
S.
gonna be the Xbox 2, right?
Well, no, because it's also like, I guess the thing now is they're not doing. This isn't like the newest, like the next console. This is like a mid step, like the PS4 Pro.
Gotcha. Okay.
And it's also like they have the Xbox One S. You know,
For slim?
for slim and
Is
now
X stand for extreme?
extreme.
Xbox One Extreme.
And I think the X might be smaller than the S.
Oh wow. Wow.
It's really small. They have some sort of like liquid cooling system in it.
Oh cool. So anyway, sorry, Andromeda.
Yeah.
They shut down the studio, or
Yep.
downsized the
They
studio.
downsized the studio pretty much. It didn't sell as well. Like you could tell, like maybe even a week afterwards, it was already starting to go on sale and stuff like that. There's probably not going to be any DLC or so. The article says, I think.
Well, and this is important for you because you are a massive
Big Mass Effect
Mass
fan.
Effect fan.
And so I played it immediately, like I pre-ordered it, and so the minute the clock stroke the right time, and the game was available, I started playing it. And the first time I played it was like, oh man, this is good. The combat is really fun, and seems like the story's good, and I'm having fun.
Yeah.
And they changed it from the previous Mass Effects. There was the Paragon and Renegade, or like the good and bad, essentially. And in Andromeda, they changed it to like, there's no longer that. There's like, dialogue-wise, there's like 4 different kind of personalities, kind of like Dragon Age. And there's just decisions. They're not like good or bad or anything like that. There's like, yeah, I think that's the smart thing to do. And so I played it the first time, and I was the humorous option, and I was having a good time. And I started playing the second time, and I realized that it's not as good as I thought it was first time through. I'm sorry, I'm not the most eloquent of speakers, but Ryder, the main character, was still making jokes, even though I wasn't picking the humorous option. And I was like, oh, this isn't as. Each option isn't as unique as I thought it was.
As they made it seem, at least.
Well, at least just my first playthrough. You know, just by coincidence, I picked the humorous option, even though he or she still makes a bunch of jokes.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So I thought it was like, oh man, this is really good. And also, they were saying from the get-go that this is going to be the previous game it's most similar to is going to be the first one. Because there's like exploration and all that, and that was part of the first one. And really, it's also like the story points are like maybe a little bit too similar. That they're riding that line of just copying it. Like I know, like Star Wars,
Force
7,
Awakens. Yeah.
It's just pretty much 4, and I think, in my opinion, it rides that line a little close.
Okay. Did you feel like 7 rode too close to 4?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You felt like it was too close. I thought it was okay.
Yeah. I mean, I hate to be the guy who's like, everybody loved it, but I'm like, well, excuse me. But
I mean, it wasn't the best movie in the world. It wasn't a bad movie.
But,
I was happy with it.
Yeah. Yeah. Hopefully 8 will be its own movie, and if
it looks really interesting.
Yeah. If 8 is just 5 again, then I'll really be like, okay, guys.
Okay, guys.
Okay, guys.
All of a sudden, they're on this snow planet named Smoth.
Uh-huh. But, like, there's plot points where you're pretty much like, oh, I've seen that before in other Mass Effects. And, like, they're characters who are, like, I see their parallel in the old ones. Like, oh, you're this person, but maybe your personality is different, but you're like the same.
Your role in this game is exactly the same.
Same.
See, and that's it. See, and this kind of goes back to kind of what I was saying. Do you think it was affected by the fact that it had the legacy of the other 3 Mass Effect games, and they wanted to make either the money? I mean, obviously, like, money is affecting it because they're probably or possibly not going to make any more because of the money.
It's shelved for now, definitely.
Yeah.
Like, I think the author, he was on the Mass Effect Reddit talking about it, and he was like saying, like maybe a reboot in 5 or 6 years.
Oh yeah, that's
so. And there was like this. It seemed the article was saying there was this troubled development history. Like apparently for like, so it was in development for like 5 years basically, and for 3 of those years, the first 3, they were working on like exploration. We're gonna do that procedurally generated planet thing, like No Man's Sky, and really it just I haven't read the article in a little while, but like they couldn't just figure it out just right, and so they scrapped that. So most of that development,
from 3 years is just gone.
Like I think maybe also part of that might be the combat, because the combat is good, it's fun.
Yeah.
But so those 2 years were actually most of the game's development apparently.
Interesting.
And I may be getting this wrong, but it also leads to like some characters are better than others. I feel the writing wise with your crew, and like it's really like up and down kind of.
See, and I think this is one of those scenarios again, because had they maybe put it on hold, not put it on hold, but pushed back the release date by a year or 2 even. Well, people are going to be upset about it being pushed back. In the end, you're going to get a better game.
Mm-hmm.
And in the end, it's going to be better for the whole franchise. This is just kind of what is it? It's an example.
Yeah, it's tough
of how pushing that.
They announced it 2015, no release date. 2016, they gave a release date, fall 2016, and then they even delayed it into spring of 2017, and that's still...
Yeah. Well, and see, the best example of this, why this is correct, why it's better to push it back, even, like, by years, is Breath of the Wild. Because people are saying that it is the best Zelda game since Ocarina of Time, and some people are saying it's better than it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it is a very, very, very well-made game. And they pushed that back for years.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's also, you gotta push it back for that Switch.
That's true. Which, it's good that they did, because a lot of people went in for the Switch, because I'm not sure why, but the marketing was a lot better for that than the Wii U.
Well, it's also, I think it's a better console than the Wii U, probably, with that, it's like that toddler gamepad thing.
Yeah, it's cool. I definitely like the concept behind it.
Yeah. Well, it's also, I think the Switch is Nintendo's fastest selling console, I believe.
Yeah. It's good. Well, and I think it definitely helped to put out Breath of the Wild with it, because there are a lot of people that subscribe to like our age people that played Nintendo 64, and the games they played were like Mario Kart 64, Ocarina of Time, and they released Breath of the Wild and Mario Kart, and they did it a lot better. That's the other thing, and I've been thinking about this with music a lot too recently, like, because I don't like a lot of the pop music that plays. So what makes those people that are fairly interchangeable? Like, I would argue that a lot of the pop artists on the radio are pretty interchangeable. Like, doesn't matter. What makes them get picked over other people, and why does their music get played over other people's music? And I really just think it's marketing. Because I think if I wrote a song and a bunch of people pumped money behind me to get plays initially, then people would take it and they'd like it and they'd play it for their friends and they're like, I love this song. And then all of a sudden I'm like, I have all this money because of the marketing. And I think games are a lot of that way as well. Like, the reason the Switch did so well is because they put a lot of money into marketing for the Switch. And I don't know. I think that's where a lot of games can fail, is when they try to release things way too early. One of the problems I have with BioShock Infinite if you play through, and I would like to do this, I would honestly with you at some point, I'd like to do a little mini playthrough of just the first hour of the game.
Mm-hmm.
Because what happens is, for the first, 15 minutes of the game, it is the most gorgeous world. There's just so many people around, and you can talk to them, and they all have different things to say, and it's just such a diverse world, and it's gorgeous. And then about 15, 20 minutes in to a half hour in, all of a sudden, all of the characters become, one character clone.
Mm-hmm.
And it's because they switched developers because it was taking too long. So, we need a different developer. Had they kept that game, had they kept the same developer and kept it as, the same first 15 minutes, the rest of the game, that would be one of the best games ever made.
Mm-hmm.
Ever. Because it's so amazing. So, and the story is fantastic. So, games. Huh?
Art. Theory.
And I mean, we could talk about it all day long it is what it is. It's not going to change. So how do you fit things in that system? It's just, you need to be good at marketing, and that's how you have to, if you want to succeed nowadays as a creator, you have to be a good marketer. That's just how it works. Unfortunately, you have to be I think art is appreciated, but who cares if you make something of art if no one sees it? Is it really art? If you went into the forest and painted the most beautiful picture in the world, and then it was never seen again, is that art?
These are the questions Tyler ponders in the middle of the night.
They really are. Or in the shower, usually.
Uh-huh.
So, thank you so much for listening to this
Thank
episode of the
you.
B11 podcast. So one thing we're going to do is we leave you now, since After Hours is going to become a bi-weekly podcast.
You mean the B11 podcast? Already messing up. All right, shut it down. Shut it all down.
So now, one thing we're going to do, since the B11 podcast is a bi-weekly podcast.
What?
Yeah. Yeah. Twice every 4 weeks.
Every other week.
We're going to leave you with something called Check It Out,
Yeah.
which is it's articles, videos, something to keep you guys,
Yeah.
following through over the next couple weeks till we
Warning.
come back.
Sorry. Talked in the middle of you. Warning, most of mine are probably going to be dumb.
And mine might also be just something to keep you occupied. All right, Sam, go ahead.
All right. Mine is a YouTube video, about 30 seconds. The title is That's a 10 by Saggy Britches. Britches, yeah.
By Saggy Britches.
Yeah. There will be a link in the description, but that's also the title and the name of the channel.
All right. And mine today is actually a Wikipedia article that I hope will prompt you to look at some other stuff and maybe look at some comic books based off of this, but this is called The Amory Wars. The Amory Wars is kind of it's a series of comic books written by Coheed and Cambria, written by the lead singer. His name is Claudio Sanchez, and he's really cool. But yeah, just go ahead and check it out, and then explore that if you'd like. If you find it interesting, the comics are great. All of the albums are really great. They actually go along with the comics, and that's really cool. And it's just a really interesting world, so feel free to explore it and enjoy. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Boy.
Bye. Well, you stuck it through to the... How did... You made it to the very, very end. The music's all gone. Why are you still here?
Everything has post-credits now.
You have to. Man, I have to tell you a story about post-credits in the post-credits.
Okay.
So I work at a movie theater, and Pirates of the Caribbean has the stupidest post-credit ever. It's just... So... You saw it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you stay for the after credit scene?
I didn't, but I heard what it was.
Yeah. So everything gets resolved, and then all of a sudden, Will and Elizabeth are sleeping in bed, and Davy Jones walks in, and you don't see it; you just see his shadow. But then Will like wakes up, and then you just see Davy Jones' claw kind of flap around for a second, and that's the end. And then he wakes up again. Oh, but then there's barnacles on the floor, and I always would be like, "Oh no, he left his nipples," because it's just like too little.
Mm-hmm.
But man, even if stuff doesn't have after credit scenes anymore, people just stay for the after credit scenes.
They do.
It's stupid.
Well, it gets people to watch the credits, I suppose.
I guess, but
See those accountants and all that.
yeah. Ugh. Anyway, thanks for listening to our after credit talk. Bye.